for it.
My story of the three principles started in December 2014. For 38 years, I've had an addiction to alcohol to some degree or other, which had totally destroyed my life. I'd lost my friends, my family, my career, my self-esteem, my self-respect, and most of all, my health. And in December 2014, I was living with my mum with dementia, and my days consisted of getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, shaking and vomiting from withdrawals from alcohol. And I used to stagger downstairs to my mum's darkened garage, where I'd crouch in a corner and sit on a little stool, and start my drinking, which would be by then neat gin with blackcurrant. And I would sit on the stool trying to get the alcohol down to stop the shaking and the withdrawals. And by this time I'd started having hallucinations, and I was seeing people in the garage, and I was telling them to leave me alone and go away, please help me. And then I just suddenly had this thought that I could not go on with this any longer. Something had to change. I wanted to live. And I just looked up to God and said, please help me, God, I don't want to die. Anyway, I eventually called an ambulance because I was so desperate for help, and I felt so ill. I couldn't stop vomiting. I couldn't keep the alcohol down. Anyway, the paramedic arrived 20 minutes later and immediately rushed me into his paramedic vehicle. Said he couldn't wait for the ambulance. And I didn't understand what was going on. He put the blue lights on and rushed me to Warwick Hospital. And I actually said to him, are you rushing back for your breakfast? Why are you driving so fast with the blue lights on? And he said, because you're dying. And I'd got no clue. So I got to the hospital, and they'd got a bed waiting for me with a drip, and it was a warm bed because apparently I've got hypothermia and acidosis, so all my organs were closing down. Anyway, from my time in hospital, I decided I wanted my life to change. So I got myself into another treatment centre. I had previously been to a few which hadn't worked for me, or only short term, but I felt like this was my last chance. So I got myself into a very good treatment centre in Southampton, where the staff were very good to me, and really wanted me to get through this. So they sobered me up with 2 detoxes because I was so badly addicted to alcohol. I needed a full 2 weeks of detox, which is quite horrendous. But I came out a month later with absolutely no aspirations for my life, because I'd lost my career. I now had a criminal record for drink driving. I'd lost my family, and my friends hadn't wanted to know me in addiction, and I just felt very alone and desperate. And then I was put in touch with a lady called Jacqueline Hollows, who's got a company called Beyond Recovery, and she became my life coach. And gradually, over a number of months, she started introducing the principles to me. And I had this massive realization that my addiction was all coming through my thinking, and that my thoughts were determining every experience I had every day. And this was so powerful, because I had this realization that I actually suddenly had a choice in what I experienced, and that I'd been trapped in an addiction cycle of thinking, which it kept me drinking and drinking because I kept thinking that was the only way I could survive and get through a day. But in sobriety, I realised that I could survive quite well on my own, because I had this innate health and survival. And that day when I decided to call the ambulance, for me was my fight or flight, and I wanted to fight. And so gradually over the months, I got a greater understanding of the three principles. And it was just that realization that I was creating my own misery just by my thinking. And gradually my thinking did start to change, and I realized that I didn't have to be in this cycle forever. And I was tackling things without a drink that I'd never thought I could do before. And so I had this great confidence suddenly that I could achieve things. And I then started a training course with Jack Pransky in Spain to do the practitioner training. And I learned a lot about deep listening and connecting with people, and how we are all one in the universe. And just everything in my life just sort of seemed to open up. It's like, I don't know, an egg breaking open and a chicken coming out sort of experience. It was just really weird. That's just suddenly come to me, but that's just how it seemed like. I was just sort of coming to fruition. And just everything in my life started to turn around. My friends started coming back into my life, my family. I got my confidence back, my self-esteem, my health is just back to how it should have been. Just everything. It's just been so marvellous. It's difficult to explain, because to say that it's just come from my thinking sounds so simple, but it's just when I realised that my thought determined my consciousness in life. And when I was in the addiction, my thought process was at such a low level that my consciousness was at such a low level. And I appreciated everything in life, the simple things like just having a roof over my head, having my lovely dog who's got me through this as well. And just everything that I've got is so simple but so perfect. And that I'm just okay, and I will be okay, and I've got the confidence now to know. It's just remarkable, really, for me. So now I've been doing some work with Jacqueline in the prisons and in an addiction centre. Although I haven't yet got a job, that's my next goal, which I can't believe. Just over a year ago, I never thought I'd be employable, and now I'm looking to work with people in addiction in prisons or treatment centres. So it's just a miracle to me. And my point is that I've realised that for me, addiction was just an illusion of my thinking. And I have a metaphor that for me, when I picked up a drink, it was like getting on a fast train that was heading into a city with crash barriers at the end. And once I'd got on that train, I couldn't get off, and it was just heading to the end where it would crash and into just total devastation. And now I just know that I have the choice not to get on that train. And I've always used to call myself an alcoholic, because that's what I thought I would be for the rest of my life. But now I don't believe that, and I just say to people, my name's Sally, I'm not an alcoholic, but I can't drink alcohol.
Beautiful.